The question that a lot of people have is, I'm 32. I thought I'd be further ahead. I've got 2 kids now. I'm trapped in a regular job. I need to try to set myself free from that. Should I take the leap? How do I take the leap? And I think one of the things that they learn from is just how somebody gets into what they got into.
Yeah.
So you now, and I know your backstory more because we just sat and, had whiskey, and I've heard all these different strategies you have to grow a $1 billion enterprise like that. But what is it that that you would say to tie your story to what they're looking for on how you decided to jump into what you're doing?
Yeah. So for me, it was easy. I didn't know anything other than, like knocking on doors to do business, to make a living. I, through high school, worked for a little paving contractor. My dad had a small business as well. So he worked in the factory and then had a little business cutting trees and doing some things for residential services. And so I worked with my dad, and then when my dad was working in the factory, I worked for this other guy paving driveways, and I learned how to pave driveways and what it was like to make a difference in somebody's yard in a matter of hours, right?
Yeah,
it's kind of fun, kind of cool. And by the time I was graduating high school, I realized I wasn't going to college. I didn't have a lot of support around me. My family didn't believe in a college education, so therefore I kind of didn't either.
Yeah.
My grades weren't very good.
I don't think it is for everybody.
It isn't for everybody. My grades are very good because I didn't really excel in a formal classroom atmosphere. So I graduated in the top 85% of my class, but that's only because I was the captain of my wrestling team and my football team, and my coaches said, you've got to at least get, D pluses and C minuses.
Yeah.
If you're going to be on the team, we need you on the team. And so anyway, I got good enough grades to play sports.
But that means something. Top 85%. I was actually in the Everglades on a boat tour, airboat tour one time. And the guide was born and raised in the Everglades. He's like, yeah, I graduated in the top 10 in my class. There were only 10 of us. Yeah. Anyway, so
very similar to that.
Yeah. So, okay. So you're competitive. You did that. You recognized something in high school in a job that you had. So this is, I think, one of the big things that happens. There's so many different people that are actually in something that they could turn into something huge. I watch so many people have like this business where it's local and they're just doing one thing, and they haven't ever stopped to say, could I do this by 1,000?
Yeah.
And, what value can I bring that way? Did you start thinking that way in high school away?
So going back to what you said, I think there's different opportunities in your life to go off and do something on your own. I believe as a kid, there's no better opportunity, especially you're living at home still, right? There's no better opportunity to start your first enterprise.
Yeah.
Small, but you might figure out a way to grow something, as you said, that's easy in a matter of years, right? That can serve the world or the country.
It's like college pro painters. I think I don't know their backstory, but it had to have been like that.
Yeah, there's them, and there's I interviewed college hunks moving junk.
Oh, you interviewed them, and they showed
good people too. I mean, it's kind of a similar story where they did more while they're in college, in business, and ended up that the business they built to pay for their college education became their business, amazing enterprise, right?
Yeah.
But I would say that when I look at the entrepreneurs that I know today, and I know thousands of them now because I'm in a bunch of leadership organizations. It happens at all different times in life, whether it's the beginning of your life that you figure out there's something you do to put cash in your pocket, and then you figure out how to scale that over time, like I did, or many people I know were in a business, starting a business on their own while they're in a business, right? Hopefully full transparency with whoever they're working for. They didn't take a lot of risk because they had the foundation of a salary or whatever it was, right, from the job.
Yeah. Started
this on the side. And it worked out really well. I've got actually one of those stories in my own company. I've got one of our best companies is something that started that way. And I guess then there's the next phase. I think it's when you're about to retire, or you do retire. Now you got a retirement maybe, or you at least save money in a 401k or however you save your money. That's another opportunity where there's low risk to get going and budget a certain amount of money and go after it. Start the business then.
Yeah.
Because there's stories from young people like me that when I was young to start something and understand the laws and the laws of entrepreneurship at a young age, and I learned those as I went with a lot of mistakes and failures. But But then there's the laws you learn in a big corporate world that you can take out and start your own business. Bernie Marcus, the founder of Home Depot, is a perfect example.
Yeah.
He was actually fired as a CEO of a small business, and at 51 or 2 years old, started Home Depot. Was Home Depot back then. At 53 or 4, the company went public with 10 stores.
Yeah.
If he didn't go public, he was going to be broke at that point. If you read any of Bernie's books, they're amazing. And Bernie's a friend of mine through an organization I'm part of called Job Creators Network.
Yeah.
JCN. Job Creators Network is something that fights for freedom and free enterprise through many ways. We have a lot of fun doing that.
Yeah, it was at one of the gatherings you had at your house today.
Exactly. And JCN has done more for our country, fighting bad regulation that hurts small business than anything I've ever seen.
Yeah.
But
and by the way, you too. I mean, you have spearheaded all sorts of things that people benefit by, that with lawsuits and everything else.
So I hope I'm part of that, making a difference. And through JCN, we stopped the vaccine mandate for all private sector workers for over 80 million working Americans. I was the first plaintiff in that case, first funder. Bernie Marcus and JCN, the organization I'm on the board of, was the organization behind that. But what a blessing when we can actually do something that stops something that we didn't believe in. That everyone should be forced to take a vaccine.
Yeah,
that's crazy. Bullshit. There's no way that could be right or anything that our founders would ever believe could happen in this great country.
Yeah.
So it was a blessing that we won at the Supreme Court. It was a lot of fun, but not a lot of fun. It was pretty scary, actually.
Yeah, right.
Fun to win that.
Vindicating.
And set a precedent there. And now that precedent's being followed with lawsuits across the country that we're finding out about. I mean, the military has got a bunch of lawsuits on this thing. But anyway, okay. But back to Bernie Marcus. Bernie Marcus didn't really get started till he was in his 50s, and he was blessed to go public in his mid 50s, let's say early mid 50s. Was a billionaire by 60.
Yeah. Right.
But this guy was stunted as a CEO really in this little small company he was in.
Yeah.
Blessing that he got fired at 50 years old, 51 years old.
Yeah.
But so it can happen at any time, right? And actually when you look at my course of business and my failures and my successes and my failures and successes and failures, right? I had some major failures economically and financially to myself and my family. And yet, really, I could look back and say, I really, I was broke at 53 or 4 years old, 7 years ago or so, right? I went from being super, very wealthy for my standards I'd ever thought.
Yeah.
Was doing 225 million revenues and very, the most net worth I'd ever had. And we're, worth a lot at the time, my wife and I, my family, right? And I had two big mistakes that happened in 2 out of 9 companies back then that took me down to negative net worth. My business had no value after I had these big losses.
Yeah. Hey there, Giant. Thanks for watching Durand On Demand. I need your help with something. The world desperately needs more giants. You know it, and I know it. We've been around a lot of people struggling, figuring out how to make things go. So hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, share this with as many people as you can. We're going to build this audience. We're going to help people slay dragons together.